Now that people have gotten the hang of Black Ops 6 Zombies for the first time in a long time, the game is mostly positively received. Lots of people are saying we're so back, but there are still some saying in comment sections that this is just MWZ Warzone Zombies Battle Royale Deluxe Edition. It is true that Zombies today looks very different from the origins of the mode way back in World at War, and I thought it would be interesting to ask ourselves, when did things start to change, and if you've been out of the loop for a few years, what did I miss? Let's take a step back and examine how everything changed in modern zombies over recent years, starting from Black Ops 3 all the way to Black Ops 6. No, not yet. Back in your cage. We'll talk about you later. Right, so Black Ops 3. Before the dark time.
Before the bombs fell.
You bear the mark. You are cursed. You must place your hand upon the stone.
I can hear you.
Let's try to make this quick. I'm sure that if you've been part of this community for a while now, you'll know that Black Ops 3 Zombies, which came out in 2015 by the way, man I'm starting to feel old, is well regarded among a large number of people as the golden era of zombies. It reached heights that the series hasn't even touched since then. The gameplay was a natural evolution of the mechanics and systems put in place by the previous games, keeping that basic formula of defending against endless waves of the undead, with several years worth of layers built upon that. Buildables, Easter eggs, points, bubblegums, more ambitious and complex maps, with somehow an even more complex story. Seriously, what kind of drugs were they on to write the story? Like, look at this! So it's no shocker that Black Ops 3 is well respected amongst many. You cannot deny the success that came from this game. BO3 was one of the highest points for the Zombies mode as a whole, with its incredible DLC season filled with such ambitious and original experiences. And Zombies Chronicles becoming the highest selling DLC of 2017 for PlayStation. Yeah, there was a lot of hype behind this game. Easter egg guides and trailers reached millions of views, and there was so much content about this game being posted online. The community was in its best state it's had in a long time, with BO3 having something for everybody, quite literally. Plenty of intricate and complex maps like Shadows of Evil, Dura Eisendrache, Revelations, supported by more simple maps, focused more on the survival aspect, thanks to Zombies Chronicle remasters. It was the best of both worlds, really. We had a whole 14 maps in this game, a record that hasn't been touched ever since. Now, what would be next for COD Zombies after this? Would the next big thing be COD World War II Zombies, coming out in the fall? It kind of flopped for most people, but that's besides the point. Guess what else came out in the fall of 2017? Now hang on, hear me out guys. Don't click off just yet. Stop. Let me explain. This video is going to come full circle. Trust me. July 25th, 2017. This date on screen right here would quite literally change everything for the gaming industry in the following years, and even now, slowly but surely, it would alter the fate of Call of Duty Zombies and COD as a whole. Fortnite changed everything within the AAA gaming space. That could be an entire video on its own, but we're specifically talking about what Fortnite is to Call of Duty Zombies. I know it sounds ridiculous, but there are so many things connected here. On release, it wasn't quite the phenomenon that it is now. Fortnite was a zombie survival type of game with base building mechanics. It was okay, I guess. It wasn't the most exciting game, but it certainly was unique. This, however, ultimately wasn't as popular as Epic Games had hoped. People didn't really latch onto it. It wasn't until the developers took those mechanics and put it in something new that it really found its ground. Something heavily inspired by the recent success of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but with a twist. It would be free to play instead of costing money. September 26, 2017, Fortnite Battle Royale was born and let loose into the world. Before we get into the really juicy details, it is absolutely necessary to talk about the gameplay of Fortnite. Some of these game mechanics would perhaps unfortunately be pivotal in changing the core of zombies as we know it now. Okay, maybe I'm being a little bit dramatic. Sort of. Now, for the 5 of you that aren't familiar with it, a match of Fortnite Battle Royale has you skydive into a huge map with 99 other players, and the last one alive is the winner. The map's space would shrink over time, forcing you to run into other players. There are loot chests filled with guns, materials, shield potions. These potions essentially allowed you to have a second health bar, which you could replenish if you drank more. I think it's like the COD World War II armor system almost. The guns you would find had 5 rarity tiers: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. These colored tiers would of course be harder to come by if it was a higher rarity. You would do more damage with legendary being the most powerful weapons in the game. You could also build, which is a big part of the game, but it's not really particularly important for this video. This purple cloud, known as the Storm, would close in over the map as the game progressed, damaging players who would remain within it. This forced the remaining players to fight to the death or to be lost in the storm. Now, unlike Fortnite's original game mode, Save the World, which cost $40 at the time of release, Fortnite Battle Royale was free to play. This is very uncommon for such a title at the time. Even PUBG, the game they took direct inspiration from, cost money at release. This may be the most important part of Fortnite right here. The game had an in-game cosmetic shop, which cost real money, and it had the first Battle Pass. Okay, I know technically everything keeps saying Dota 2 in 2013, but we all know what made Battle Passes mainstream. You get a Battle Pass, you get a Battle Pass. Every game gets a Battle Pass. Oh my god! Yeah, we can already see some of the effects this had just by loading up any modern Call of Duty game. Many games adopted the strategy of going free to play and monetized with battle passes and in-game cosmetics to make the most out of FOMO, with limited time rewards which people would be willing to spend money on. And man, did people spend money on them. Fortnite made billions and was, and still is, immensely popular. Heck, even I played it for a good year or so until I got bored of it. Besides the monetization systems, which unfortunately carved their way into most big games in the following years, how exactly does this relate to zombies? I know that those of you who have played Call of Duty Cold War and beyond, you know exactly where I'm going with this. I'm not even going to mention that monster yet. We're going chronologically here. October 2018 was the date set in stone for Call of Duty Black Ops 4. 1 year after the release and overwhelming success of Fortnite Battle Royale. The reveal trailer earlier in the year and the success of the previous game set expectations very, very high for this one. 3 years since BO3 launched, the wait would finally come to a close. We got so many details early on, and there was a lot to look forward to. What was next after Zombies Chronicles? A brand new storyline alongside the true ending of the universe, plus we'd get 4 maps on launch? One in a gladiatorial arena, the Titanic, a Mob of the Dead remake with the Primus crew, and a 5 remake. I actually can't even express the chills and just the excitement I got when I saw this for the very first time during their live reveal.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on!
I was literally cheering when I saw the live stream. I can't even describe how excited I was. I even pre-ordered the Pro Edition. It's impossible to capture the overall feelings that everybody had at the time, but things seemingly were incredibly positive towards this reveal and towards the upcoming game. A record number of 4 full-fledged experiences at the very beginning would mean that we'd be starting off really strong, right? Yeah, Treyarch, I think you cooked a little too hard. So, what happened? How did it play out this way? This was supposed to be the best launch for zombies in history, right? It's complicated. This year, the campaign was stuck in purgatory during development, and it ended up getting cancelled completely for the first time since the release of the very first Call of Duty in 2003. Devs toward the latter part of production were swapped to this rushed Battle Royale mode, Blackout, that got shoved into their game. And some resources were taken from the Zombies team to help create this, resulting in a lot more bugs than usual at launch.
Chat, listen, we are about to go into this boss fight.
You son of a bitch!
This was Call of Duty's first venture into the battle royale genre, and unfortunately, everyone in the COD space would feel the side effects of this at a later date. It was obvious, Activision saw dollar signs from Fortnite and wanted its own slice of the pie. And BO4 included the first Call of Duty Battle Pass. Because money, and Fortnite did it. I almost completely forgot about that. Thanks, Fortnite. Seeing that there was so much troubled development behind the scenes, how did the Zombies mode actually turn out? We're gonna talk a lot more about gameplay in BO4, because Black Ops 3 is way more similar to previous entries, minus the gobblegums, 3-hit system sliding, blah blah blah. For starters, the perk system was completely overhauled to a hard 4 perk limit and choosable perk loadouts that would spawn at predetermined locations per map in these perk machines, which didn't really have a lot of personality to them. Removed Juggernog, removed Double Tap and Speed Cola, and instead they were worked into the base gameplay, so you didn't need to buy them, with the increased health to 200, which meant that it was a 4-hit down for players instead of 3 like Black Ops 3. For Double Tap, it was replaced with Repack-a-Punching. Every time you repack a gun, it increases the damage by 25% up to 4 times, effectively replacing the damage boost from Double Tap 2.0. Speed Cola was built into the game as a bonus when you have all 4 perks in your possession. The point system was also changed to a set number of points per zombie, so point farming wasn't exactly possible like it was in previous games. This put a lot more emphasis on just killing a zombie rather than taking your time and being careful. So while it did technically make the game go quicker, it reduced the total amount of points that you could possibly get on a round. Did I mention how much I dislike the HUD for this game? The final major change they made was the specialist and loadout system. You were able to choose from select weapons to spawn with and a specialist weapon which could be charged up and used at any point in the game for a huge power boost. You were almost invincible using these weapons. It even gave you a little bit of armor when you activated it. And Ether and Chaos have their own set of unique specialist weapons. BO3 also had specialist weapons, but they were map specific and they had to be earned through an Easter egg quest or build. It was more of an earned item instead of given to you immediately. Obviously, these changes were highly controversial for the community. But people were arguing and debating these systems for months. But this is all a prelude for the most criminal thing that happened to BO4. We had a lot of shortcomings in the beginning, such as bugs, constant crashes. After the launch of Ancient Evil, the next couple maps were way more stressed for resources and dev time.
Why?
Because I'm all out of money!
This is because Activision had put Treyarch full force into developing the next Black Ops for 2020. An entire year earlier than the 2021 expected release. It was reported that Sledgehammer Games fumbled their COD development so hard Treyarch had to take over and make the game for 2020. All because of the screwed development cycle for this game. The Ether story concluded with remakes of old maps instead of something crazy like the Great War or ambitious and original well-crafted experiences like we had in the past. It was painfully obvious they had less time to work if you just compare Ancient Evil to Alpha Omega and Tagter Toten. We went from full animated 3D cutscenes like this with Blood of the Dead.
My God, what have I done?
But we were reduced to comic book slideshows and remakes for the most hyped part of the zombie story.
We're going to fight the war, Eddie. The Great War. Then, we're going back to the house to kill him and burn it all to the ground.
Sorry, Samantha. None of that happened. None of that at all. And it really hurts that Ether, the story that took place over 10 years, concluded not with a bang, but with a whimper.
This is a game for every kind of player. It's a game that's built to last for years to come.
It really left us unsatisfied, and just wondering, where do we go from here? General sentiment about BO4 got worse as the DLC season went on, and players got turned off from the gameplay because it was a little too different from what they fell in love with in the first place. And plus, the maps didn't exactly pull people in, with half of them in the game being remakes. The Zombies mode was, for better or worse, dead. For now. Fortnite didn't exactly cause all of this, it was more Activision and mismanagement of resources, but Fortnite was just getting started. The very next game after BO4 was Modern Warfare 2019 from Infinity Ward, a soft reboot of the COD series and a highly successful one at that. Despite practically only having campaign and multiplayer, having no zombies mode in sight left us with feelings of worry about the future of the mode. A whole year with nothing for us zombies fans after the last 5 years having had a zombies mode, or at least something like that, especially after the complete disaster that was Black Ops 4. But there was something Treyarch had done in the previous year that would perhaps, by complete accident, influence the coming years of zombies content.
This is Blackout!
Blackout in BO4 was the precursor to a much bigger monster. Activision saw $ with the idea of a battle royale mode, especially after glancing over to Fortnite's profits after release. Since they already experimented with it once, it was time to commit. Activision doubled down and made an entire battle royale mode. It came out in March of 2020, taking the gameplay from MW 2019, but putting a battle royale twist onto it, and going free to play. This way they could directly compete with Fortnite, and Call of Duty was shoved into the stupid COD HQ game for all releases since 2019, and of course it would be constantly shoving Warzone in your face. This is what Activision wanted you to play. If you played COD, you couldn't really get away from it. I mean, this menu alone has got to violate some international law. It's so ugly and hard to navigate. A typical Warzone game would begin with you loading into the game with 120 other players. You dive down onto the map like Fortnite, but with a pistol when you land, instead of just a pickaxe. The first goal is to find loot found in the chests, get weapons of different rarities, and equip your shields and stay inside the storm. Be the last team standing. Yeah, this is basically Fortnite with a COD skin and no building, isn't it? Rarity in this game, instead of straight damage, is actually the number of weapon attachments. There is still a colored system exactly like Fortnite, and there are lots of things like contracts and challenges to acquire money during the round, which can be used at shops to purchase equipment and respawn your dead teammates. Dying in this game causes you to spawn into the Gulag, a 1v1 arena where you fight another player for the right to stay in the game after you die. I'll admit, I kinda like this, because dying too early in a battle royale can be really frustrating, and this game has ways to navigate around that. Did I mention you can find and buy score streaks in this game?
Huh?
You can get stuff like UAVs and strafing runs in Warzone, which I think is kinda crazy, but it's sort of fun. Oda, hang on, wasn't there something else going on with Warzone? Right. So technically, MW 2019 introduced a shop mechanic identical to Fortnite, as well as a
Fortnite Battle Pass. I just shit out my ass.
Modern Warfare was $60 at launch, and you mean to tell me the primary way of getting anything is by paying for the battle pass or using the shop using COD points, which you buy with your own money? It's so hard nowadays to get any free rewards. If it was free to play, I guess I could excuse it, but look, this trend stuck and we'll see how it pans out later. But to get us back on track, Warzone took this and ran with it. Really ran with it. I mean, logging in today for the first time, this is what you see when you log in.
It's asking me to buy the battle pass before I've even seen the main fucking menu. I haven't even seen the title screen yet, and it's already asking me to buy the battle pass.
Okay, Ryan, think about this. This is the price we paid for not paying extra for DLC packs. This is how they get their monetization through not season passes, but battle passes now. Battle passes and shops were the main way they would monetize Warzone, and man, did they make a lot of money. Warzone is a result of Fortnite taking over the market and Activision trying to capitalize on it. It's literally still got millions of people logging in every day, and it gets them millions of dollars in profit. It's no wonder that Activision would double down and slowly inject Warzone DNA into everything COD over the coming years.
Arriving at Alpha Site. You're clear, Strike Team.
This is where it started, Strike Team. Let's get some answers.
During the latter half of 2020, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War was released, and it was a fresh start for COD Zombies. This was that game we talked about earlier that was released 1 year earlier than expected, thanks to Sledgehammer fumbling their release. This led to a very rushed development, as one can imagine. Plus, the entire year of 2020, something else was going on, which made game dev a lot more difficult. For Zombies, this was the beginning of a kind of rebooted story known as the Dark Ether story, where the only characters who made it from the old universe were Eddie and Samantha Maxis from the ending of Tag der Toten in Black Ops 4. And I'll admit, I played this game a whole ton when it released. It felt like we were so back this year, although you could certainly debate that. They took the gameplay we all know and love and shuffled it around a little. A lot, actually. Taking gameplay inspiration from many aspects of COD, being BO4, Warzone, and classic Zombies. So it's kind of a mix of all those things. They revamped a lot of systems and introduced a lot of new mechanics. Perk machines were thankfully back with a nice redesign, and for the second time in mainline Zombies, you could spawn in with a loadout and an almost specialist at the beginning of a match. Specialists work just like BO4, except instead of insane wonder weapons, they're more like very powerful power-ups called field upgrades, with each one doing something completely different. They took a lot of inspiration from previous games. The loadout weapon you can select can be any gun in the game. That's right, you are no longer limited to just a weak pistol when you spawn in. It can be anything, an LMG, a sniper, a melee weapon, whatever. Only catch is, this gun is common rarity. That's right, they introduced weapon rarities from Warzone into Zombies, except instead of changing the number of attachments, it also scaled the damage with the level, making your starting weapon the lowest damage out of anything in the game. However, maybe the starting gun does a bit too much damage. Plus, you can have whatever attachments you want on it. The wall buys had rarity too, and after a set number of rounds, it actually increases rarity, making wall buys and the mystery box buys a little more powerful over time. Oh yeah, speaking of, let's check out the mystery box. Cool, let's get the... Oh, what the... Yeah, lots of stuff changed thanks to Warzone mechanics getting implemented. Your gun will drop on the ground when grabbing a new weapon, which is kinda neat, and zombies also drop equipment as well as... Huh? So now you can get loot from killing zombies called salvage, and you can use that to craft more equipment like monkey bombs and grenades and stuff, but also score streaks. They're really just throwing everything in here, huh? And there's also armor just like Warzone now. Ha! Look at that. It can be upgraded with salvage up to tier 3, which reduces damage taken from zombies until it's broken. If it is broken, you can fix it with a carpenter drop, or at the upgrade station, which also allows you to upgrade your weapon rarity. Nice! This does, however, make Juggernog a bit less essential, as it protects you from quite a lot of damage, and is only one of the aspects of this game that people found controversial. Stuff like armor, loadouts, and score streaks all being in the game led people to saying, "Come on, man! That's too easy!" I'd have to agree in a lot of ways. It's easier than the years prior. There's also no perk limit, and the Wonder Fizz has every perk in the game, even if the machine isn't present on that map, meaning there's no map-exclusive perks. Another reason people say the game is so easy is these permanent upgrades using ether crystals you earn in the game, essentially making all of your perks super perks and your field upgrades super OP. If you play with just the base upgrade of everything, you are significantly weaker than if you upgraded all your items. So it makes a huge difference. Here's something not controversial in the slightest. For those of you that haven't played zombies in a few years, your mind might be blown by this. I legitimately don't think I want to go back after this particular change. Like, every new installment should have vaulting like this. It just makes sense. Going back to BO4 to get footage for this video, I played Tag der Toten, and this spot right here legitimately frustrated me. Even when it first came out, I kept thinking, this little step right here, you're telling me I can't climb over that? Now, we're gonna speedrun the final big changes, cause there's a lot. Pack-a-punch tiers, health bars, mini-map, crafting benches, removed the perk limit, changed the point system, medals for kills, Wonder Fizz rework, super sprinters after round 52, intel system, optional exfil to end games. Treyarch also added this huge game mode called Outbreak. It's based inside of the maps from Cold War's multiplayer's Battle Royale-inspired Fireteam Dirty Bomb. All in one take. It's not exactly regular round-based zombies, but rather a combination of multiple things. Zombies and Warzone. It's a semi-open world, as in you have these huge maps to play on with one main objective and multiple side objectives. Completing it would increase the round counter and teleport you to a new Fireteam Dirty Bomb map, and up the difficulty, with each round equaling 5 to 10-ish regular rounds. You can encounter many events, and there are even 2 full main quests you can complete. one with a pretty difficult boss fight. A standard game of Outbreak would start with you spawning with your loadout and opening these Fortnite loot chests to obtain better loot, as well as finding perk machines and pack-a-punch scattered around. Completing events around the map would also reward you with goodies. The loot, of course, gets better the higher tier you go, and at the end of each round, you're able to use the Wonder Fizz, pack-a-punch, and the armory. For what it's worth, I'm glad to see Treyarch was experimenting with the formula and how they could shake things up, even if it wasn't exactly what we're used to. However, some people in the community didn't exactly like the detour from our typical zombie slaying traditions. Was Cold War successful in its efforts? I'd say, yeah. It was great for casual players, and it breathed new life into the mode after the disaster that was BO4. Outbreak was incredibly successful as well and found its own audience.
Outbreak's launch was a huge success in Season 2. More people played Black Ops Cold War Zombies than even at the launch of the game.
Warm-ups. But I fell in love with Outbreak. Zombies.
Unfortunately, however, Cold War left the more hardcore audience in the dust, with less complexity in the maps themselves, and admittedly, the map design wasn't as visually interesting as it has been in the past. And the Easter eggs as well were a lot easier and simpler for the most part. It's actually possible with these maps to do the Easter eggs without a guide whatsoever, because a lot of the steps are just more logical in the way that they flow to one another, as well as you get plenty of hints, and it was just a lot easier and simpler. Forsaken can literally be completed in 12 minutes. Look, it's very clear that time restraints and the pandemic were a big part of why some things were the way that they were, but other parts seem like they're taking inspiration straight from Warzone's successes. And of course, the only reason Warzone exists is because of Fortnite. There really is a whole visible progression here in the Fortnite to Zombies pipeline. I mean, we got everything from gun rarity to basically shield potions and loot chests in Zombies.
Bruh.
Oh yeah, and they got rid of a dedicated crew in this game, so the story was more disconnected from your character. A lot of people, including myself, found that incredibly disappointing. All you had were these voices talking in your head the entire time because they had to push the in-game operator system, which profited off of the in-game shop and battle pass because money. Thanks, Fortnite. $70 for a game isn't enough. Profit over substance in this aspect. Warzone keeps getting bigger, and it's slowly taking over every aspect of the game, from operators replacing crews to promote the shop, to in-game systems in Cold War Zombies being taken straight out of Fortnite. And I'll admit, it has me a little worried about BO6 Zombies if things keep trending in this direction. Credit where it is due, Treyarch managed to create a Zombies experience that felt like no other before it. For better or worse, depending on your point of view. I'm making a very conscious decision to skip Vanguard Zombies, as I think enough has already been said by people who are far better spoken than I.
I'm gonna be straight with you here. Just don't buy the game yet. Just don't buy the game yet. If you're buying it for zombies, just don't do it. Please.
All you gotta know, it was a complete disaster of a zombies mode that honestly isn't really worth playing. I feel really bad for the Treyarch staff that were forced to work on it. Plus, I don't even own Vanguard, and I much prefer to talk about stuff that I have hands-on experience with, even if limited like MW3 Zombies. It's a shame that some Treyarch devs keep getting pulled to create zombies modes that aren't part of their main game, which could ultimately detract from the initial quality of BO6 thanks to Activision. I believe that Infinity Ward should have developed this mode themselves, but sadly not much we can do about corporate decisions. Modern Warfare 3 released with a very interesting take on zombies, which, by the way, I'm not going to outright say it's necessarily a bad thing or that it's garbage, because I don't have enough experience to really get a very educated opinion on it. I'm just gonna say that it's just different. It's very, very different and doesn't exactly appeal to a more classic zombies audience, which is what I would fall into. It's more for the people that really liked Outbreak and Black Ops Cold War, or people that really like Warzone. There we go. So what exactly is different this year? Well, it's literally copy and paste from the Warzone map, but with zombies. So basically, it takes all the mechanics from Warzone and Cold War Zombies and applies it to an open world without rounds. Weapon rarity is back, and now you have to manually armor plate, just like Warzone. Double sprint and all. You have wandering zombies and events just like Outbreak, as well as danger zones, which increase the difficulty of the area up to tier 3 in the center, where most of the zombies will be super sprinting at you with increased damage and more bosses will spawn in. There's just one little problem. This little hour timer which ends the game when it hits 0. In the final minutes, you must make it to extraction and exfil before getting caught in the Fortnite storm and becoming zombie food. Oh, also this is always online with lobbies of 24 people spread across the map. There is no solo or offline play, which made me very sad as a mostly solo player, but I digress. There were still whole Easter eggs and crazy boss fights to be had throughout the game as per usual, but the overall vibe of this project was a miss for quite a few people in the community, and it felt to many people that this COD was just reusing Warzone assets to make something uninspired and not like what we expect from the Zombies game mode. Zombies may as well have been dead for a whole nother year for many people. Black Ops 3 came out in 2015, Fortnite released in 2017 and shook up the industry. 2018, Black Ops 4 began the decline after failing to meet expectations. 2020, Cold War comes out rushed and Zombies sees a little resurgence and a lot more casuals are brought into the space, but it remains controversial with all the new additions from Warzone. 2021, 2022, we had nothing. 2023, MW3 Warzone Zombies misses the main audience. And 2024, we finally return to form with Black Ops. And man, it has been a wait. Lots of time for them to hopefully cook something good for the community, as it has been very, very rough out here. Although I'm crossing my fingers that Treyarch devs having to work on Vanguard and MW3 Zombies doesn't screw us over with BO6.
The guard station computer cannot access the central database while the network is down. Honestly,
right away, upon loading into Terminus, it sets the tone. This year is a true return to form for Treyarch. This year at launch, we have 2 completely original Zombies maps, as well as full main quests on both, and Terminus has an insane boss fight. Okay, they might be cooking with this. We'll start with the gameplay before we get into map-specific stuff. Lots of elements from Cold War were kept, like weapon rarity, loadouts, field upgrades, score streaks, salvage, and a minimap, but this time, you can almost fully customize the HUD, allowing you to experience this year in a more classic fashion. Or keep the HUD as is if you prefer. Weapon rarities also feel like they were slightly adjusted, making the starting weapons a bit weaker than it has been in the past couple entries. This incentivizes either swapping out your starting gun or upgrading it with salvage as fast as you possibly can. Only this time, all your salvage is now 1 currency instead of dividing it between rare and common. Furthermore, salvage is now used for your alternate ammo types, which are now located at the armory instead of Pack-a-Punch, which got a nice visual and auditory upgrade.
Happy birthday, candy ass!
So now you have many more options for what to spend your hard-earned salvage on. In solo, do you use that salvage for another self-revive after taking it down? Or do you spend it on upgrades to make survival a little bit easier? In addition to salvage becoming more streamlined, points are now experiencing inflation in order to match the real world. Not only do we have all the past uses for points, but now along with Pack-a-Punch tiers and perks, you also need to decide how to spend points on armor. They rebalanced how overpowered armor was in Cold War by making it cost points and making you manually replate now. You spawn in with 1 plate of armor and can upgrade it for 4,000 for tier 2 and 10,000 for tier 3.
damn, Daniel!
Replating the armor isn't as annoying as it might seem initially. Speed Cola helps you do it faster, and also it keeps you on your toes more than the older armor system. And by that, I mean, it's just making sure that you're actually paying attention to the game, because if you forget to replay it, you are going to feel that difference between having and not having any armor whatsoever.
Go, get it, go, 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 go! Hurry!
Trust me when I say they bumped up zombie aggressiveness to make up for armor. You'll take a lot more hits than the previous games due to the swing speeds feeling fast and zombie spawns seemingly being increased. And with how they spawn all around you now, the damage mitigation won't be as insanely overpowered. Ow. Additionally, enemy variety definitely plays a factor in this as well. There are multiple special enemies in the game, such as Uncle Mangler returning in both maps, again.
Let me go. Let me die!
You also have vermin in both maps. Terminus has parasites and whatever these things are called. This game is definitely harder than Cold War Zombies was. Plus, with the new point system causing you to earn less points than before, getting all the points and salvage you need to max out gear will easily take you into the late 20s since there's so much going on. In order to set up faster, Optional trials will assist you in getting gear just like Cold War, except now, there are cool challenge modifiers like temporary perks or trap cooldown changes. It even spawns these purple-eyed zombies that don't contribute to the round, which is an awesome quality of life change. Rewards can be anything from free perks to salvage and points, or wonder weapons very rarely. Oh yeah, Sam also bullies you while you do trials too. If you're into that, I guess it's a plus. Looking at you, Tyler. Upgrades from Cold War return with a new system called augments. This is a lot tougher to grind for, as you can only research one track at a time. Additionally, you can only pick one major and one minor augment for each individual item on this huge list of things, making it somewhat balanced compared to Cold War's Ethereum Crystal upgrade system. The game does get noticeably easier once you get a lot of augments, but unlike Cold War Zombies where the upgrades are permanent, these are optional and you can turn them off. So far, it seems like this game has taken so many ideas from Cold War Zombies and enhanced them to feel way more polished. But now for another beloved feature finally coming back. Gobblegums are in Black Ops 6. You can also hold up to 3 Gobblegums, increased from only 1 in Black Ops 3. There's also no classic category for Gobblegums, which means that every single one is an earned consumable. You have to use them a little more wisely compared to before, where you can spam in plain sight and be perfectly fine. Something new to this game is random environmental encounters. You can find idle zombies scattered around the map in different places every time you load in. It does a lot to sell the idea that zombies were here before you even pressed play. It's like you're going to a place with zombies, then zombies going to a place with you, if that makes sense. Sometimes you can find a group of guards in this room still alive, and they'll even shoot at you until Dark Ether Diddy gets hungry.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party.
Alright, now that we've gone through all of that, now time for a few negatives about this game. First of all, Treyarch, when are we getting server pause back for co-op? This is such a necessary fix, please, we had it in the previous few games. Also, what's up with the stupid solo pause timer? It makes no sense why Always Online causes a timer this short to be in the game before it boots you. That is 15 minutes total for the match. Meaning if you pause in 2-minute intervals, it will eventually run out and you'll be booted out of it. The only saving grace for this, which I guess isn't the worst trade-off, is save and quit for solo play. This is something I've personally wanted forever, because if you're a really busy person or you have a job, this is one of the best additions they could have added. It makes high rounds possible for people that touch grass. It's incredible. Or you can do this boss fight on Terminus out of really high round if you're crazy. Like this dude that did it at round 256. Bro. With Liberty Falls being a more casual map and Terminus being a bigger, more complex experience, and both maps having a main quest and filled with solid side Easter eggs, it makes for a really solid launch of the game. BO6 does need some balance and quality of life updates, but for how it is at launch, I'm impressed. That is a lot better than a certain game did. Having a dedicated crew instead of just operators makes you feel more immersed in the story of the map that you're playing. Your character has weight, they matter, and I'm hoping we grow a lot more attached to them as the seasons progress, but that's yet to be seen. Warzone's influence is definitely felt inside of BO6, but in reality, it isn't as intrusive as some people are claiming it to be. I just wish that it was a bit easier to get points, or if it was the old system. Honestly, I can live with it though. They could have just made another MW3 open world Warzone zombies, but this feels way more in line with what we know and love. It's like this was the vision that Cold War Zombies had. The quality of Terminus and Liberty Falls is honestly great. I really hope that they can keep this up all year, because more maps at the level of Terminus would set us up for such an awesome year of zombies. It is finally time to wrap up this video. Since 2017, Fortnite's influence has caused a lot of change in the gaming space and spread its influence into zombies as it did every corner of the industry. MWZ only exists as it is because Fortnite created Warzone, and Warzone mechanics got put into zombies. Double sprint, weapon rarity, and drivable vehicles, loot chests, etc. are all in BO6 now, but it feels like it's done a lot more tastefully than MW3, thanks to the maps being original and the mechanics just being refined. The base formula for the mode is still there despite all the time that has passed. You're still doing a lot of the same things, but just in slightly different forms. Treyarch put their time to good use for this year's Call of Duty. The only question and hope is, can Treyarch keep up the quality of maps throughout this year's life cycle? But we'll have to wait and see for that one.